I thought I was just being protective, a mother sensing something was off. But the truth is, I was unraveling. My marriage was crumbling in silence, and I needed anything I could control. So I hired a detective to watch my son, to chase down a hunch I couldn't explain. But what he found, what he showed me, it shattered more than my trust. It exposed everything I had been avoiding in my own life. My marriage, my desire, myself. My name is Marla, and I'm 46 years old. And before I tell you what I found, before I unravel the mess I created trying to protect my son, I need to admit something else. Something quieter. Something that started long before the detective, long before the secrets. I used to be the kind of woman who laughed during sex, who left lipstick prints on coffee mugs and bare skin, who tangled her legs around her husband in bed just to hear him groan. And I remember when Rob, used to touch my face like it was breakable, like I was rare. He was a firefighter back then. Still is. All calm and solid, all that dependable masculinity women swoon over on television. I used to swoon. But somewhere in the middle of raising our son, paying bills, hosting cookouts, and folding laundry in silence, I stopped wanting to be touched. Or rather, I wanted to be wanted for more than just a body. Lately, when Rob kisses me, it's automatic. His lips press against mine with that same practiced motion, the way you close a car door you've opened 1,000 times. His hugs feel more like possession. Heavy arms, breath on my neck, a squeeze that used to feel warm now makes me feel claimed. Last week, we were lying in bed, backs touching. I tried to remember the last time we made love because we wanted to, not because it was scheduled between alarms and exhaustion. And it hit me. It was right then, the quiet between us louder than any argument, that I realized something had shifted. And I wasn't sure it was still shifting with me. Rob thinks love is in the doing. Fixing the leaky sink. Filling my gas tank without being asked. Bringing home my favorite granola, the one with dried cherries I used to eat when I actually had an appetite. He thinks that's enough. And maybe once it was. But lately, it feels like he's checking off boxes. This morning, I was making coffee when he came up behind me and put his hands on my waist. Just like he used to. But it didn't feel the same. His grip was firm, a little rushed, like he was trying to reclaim something instead of offer it. He leaned in and kissed the side of my neck. I smiled, out of habit, not feeling. I wanted to pull away, but I didn't. I stood there, the kettle whistling, thinking, does he even see me anymore? Or just the shell of the woman he used to love? He's always been a man of action. He fought fires, for God's sake. He saved lives. He works night shifts and barely sleeps. But he's never known how to talk about pain unless it came with a wound he could bandage. And I've always needed words. Emotion. Connection. Last night, when I said I was tired, he tried anyway. Ran his hand down my spine like he used to, but I stiffened. I wasn't even sure why. He thought I was rejecting him. I was just trying to hold on to myself. We lay there in the dark, not touching. And I knew he wanted to be close to me. But the version of me he was reaching for no longer lived in this body. It was over something stupid. A dinner. A Wednesday. Rob had gotten off an extra long shift and came home still smelling like smoke and sweat, with that exhausted glaze in his eyes he always carried after a fire. He tried. He did. He brought home Chinese, my favorite, even remembered the extra soy sauce packets I never use but always keep. He walked in, kissed the top of my head like I was a child, and said, "Missed you, babe." I nodded. Stirred rice. I didn't say it back. At the table, he talked about a 2-story house fire. Said something about a dog trapped in the basement. His face lit up like he was alive again. And then he looked at me and said, "But enough about that. How's my beautiful girl doing?" His hand landed on my thigh. A gentle squeeze. I flinched. Not because it hurt, but because I didn't know how to receive it anymore. I stared at the wall behind him and whispered, "Do you even see me?" He blinked. What? And that's when I broke. I mean the real me. Not the woman who makes dinner or says she's tired. Not the mom who keeps everyone else together. Me, Marla. The woman you used to undress slowly like she was the answer to something. Rob's jaw tightened. Where's this coming from? I don't know. I snapped. Maybe from years of being touched, but never really held. From you thinking everything can be fixed with your hands, when all I want is for you to ask me if I'm okay and mean it. He looked stunned. Hurt. And then, angry. I bust my ass for this family. I'm not a mind reader, Marla. You want me to guess what's wrong when you barely look at me anymore. And, just like that, dinner went cold. And I stood up, walked into the bathroom, and locked the door. I sat on the floor, trembling. And for a few minutes, I didn't feel like a wife. Or a mother. I just felt like a stranger in a house full of memories. I hated how much of me still loved him. And I hated how unseen that part had become. The silence was dense. It filled the rooms between us. Sat between coffee cups. Clung to the backs of our necks when we lay in bed not touching. A week passed. Then 2. We functioned like gears in a worn-down machine. The dishwasher ran. The bills got paid. He went to work. I went through motions. And still, we didn't talk. Not really. I caught Rob watching me once, from across the kitchen. I was folding laundry absently, the kind of task you can do while your brain is elsewhere. His eyes were soft. Sad. Almost afraid. But he didn't come closer. Just turned away and grabbed a beer from the fridge. That night, I stood in the doorway of our bedroom and watched him sleep on the couch. His chest rose and fell like a quiet apology. He used to hate sleeping apart. Now, he didn't even ask to come back to bed. I missed him. Not just the man, but the feeling of being his. I missed the way we used to look at each other after laughing too hard over burnt pancakes. I missed the electric stillness in the air when he undressed me slowly, reverently, like he was memorizing me. I missed myself inside that version of us. And yet, I didn't know how to reach for him without betraying the ache still sitting in my chest. Some nights, I'd rehearse what I'd say. I don't feel like I belong in my life anymore. But those words never made it out of my mouth. Instead, I started watching our son more closely. He was 18. Quiet. Thoughtful. Kept odd hours. I told myself I was just being protective. But in truth, I needed something to focus on, something outside of us. One night, I sat on our bed with my phone in my hand. And I typed it out slowly, with trembling fingers. Private investigator. Discreet. Teen surveillance. I wasn't ready to face my marriage. But I could fix something. Or at least, I thought I could. The night I got the call from the detective, Rob happened to be home. He was pouring himself a glass of wine, something he rarely did, when he noticed my face turn pale. I was gripping the kitchen counter, phone still pressed to my ear, heart racing. Marla, he said, walking toward me. What's wrong? I shook my head. I can't right now. He didn't push. Just stood there, glass in hand, waiting. When I finally told him what I'd done, hired someone to follow our son, the look in his eyes didn't shift to anger. It shifted to fear. What did he find? He asked, his voice low. I couldn't speak. The detective's words echoed in my ears. Your son has been visiting an older woman. Regularly. Intimately. A woman twice his age. Married. My son was someone's escape. Someone's secret. I told Rob everything that night. We sat across from each other like two people who had stopped pretending. Not just about our son, but about us. I did this, I admitted, because I was looking for control. For something to fix, something I could make sense of. Because you and we're falling apart, and I didn't know how to stop it. His eyes filled with tears, not the kind that spill, just the kind that settle in the corners and burn. I knew something was wrong, he whispered. But I didn't know how to reach you anymore. And then, he reached out. Not with lust. Not with demand. Just his hand, resting over mine. We sat in silence for a long time. The only sound was the soft hum of the refrigerator and our shallow, overlapping breaths. Later, as we went to bed together, finally, he didn't try to touch me. But as I rolled onto my side, I felt his hand slide across the sheets, landing quietly on my hip. Just resting there. It didn't fix anything. But it was the first time in months I didn't flinch. And that felt like something. Maybe not a reunion, but maybe the beginning of a reckoning. If you're still listening, thank you. I don't know what I expected telling this story, maybe just to hear it out loud. Maybe to finally stop whispering my pain into the walls of a house that used to feel like home. I learned something watching my son through someone else's eyes. He wasn't reckless. He wasn't lost. He was looking for connection, the same thing I was chasing, just in his own, complicated way. And yes, what he did broke my heart. But what broke me more was realizing how quietly things can fall apart. No slamming doors. No screaming matches. Just slow forgetting. A kiss that grows shorter. A hand that stops reaching. A voice that says, I love you, with less warmth and more habit. Rob and we haven't fixed everything. We still walk around each other carefully, like we're afraid to speak the wrong truth. But that night, the night I told him about the detective, the night I confessed what I'd been hiding, was the first time in years I felt something like honesty pass between us. Maybe we won't go back to who we were. But maybe we're not meant to. Maybe the real work of love is learning how to meet each other again, after the versions we used to be have already died. I used to think desire was just about touch, about the fire, the body, the spark. But now I know, real desire is about being seen. To have someone look at you and say, I still choose you. Even here. Even now. We've started talking again, awkwardly, slowly. He made breakfast last Sunday. Burned the toast. I laughed. And it wasn't perfect, but it was us. I don't know what will happen with our son. We haven't confronted him yet. Maybe we're scared. Or maybe we just want to find each other first. But I do know this. Love doesn't disappear. It just gets buried under silence. And if you're brave enough to dig through the ache, sometimes you find the pieces worth saving, even if they don't fit quite the same anymore.